Let's be honest, we've all seen it happen, maybe even lived it. A woman meets a man who gives her a bit of attention, but then he starts pulling away. Suddenly, she can't stop thinking about him. She replays their conversations, overanalyzes his texts, checks his social media, and wonders what went wrong. The strange thing? The less he seems to care, the more she does. And that cycle, as frustrating as it sounds, has a real psychological explanation behind it. In this video, we're going to explore why women are often drawn to men who ignore them, not to justify it, but to understand it. Because when we understand why, we can start to change the pattern, both in how we act and what we attract. The first look, the power of mystery. Let's start with the first impression, the first look, because this is where the whole story begins. When a woman first notices a man, what usually pulls her in isn't just his looks, it's his energy, the way he carries himself, the confidence he radiates without even trying. And often, the man who seems a little distant, a little mysterious, gives off that "I don't need anyone" vibe. That mystery can be magnetic. It creates a sense of curiosity. We naturally want to figure people out, especially when they're not giving everything away. It's the same reason we get hooked on a good movie with a secretive main character. We want to know what's behind the mask. When a man seems slightly unavailable or hard to read, the mind starts spinning stories. Is he just shy? Is he playing it cool? Or is he just different from other guys? And that curiosity is powerful. It pulls attention, it sparks imagination, and before she realizes it, she's emotionally invested in trying to decode him. That first look, that small spark of mystery, can sometimes create a chase that feels impossible to stop. The psychology of chase. Now, let's dive a little deeper. Psychologists often talk about something called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same thing that makes gambling addictive. When someone gets a reward, like attention or affection, but not all the time, their brain actually becomes more hooked. The unpredictability creates emotional tension, and that tension keeps people coming back.
When a man gives attention sometimes, but then pulls away, the brain reads it like a puzzle that needs solving. That uncertainty makes his attention feel even more valuable. The moment he finally replies or shows affection, it feels like a win, a dopamine hit. It's almost like chasing validation wrapped in the disguise of attraction. And this doesn't mean women are weak or desperate, not at all. It's just how human psychology works. We're wired to chase emotional closure, to seek balance when things feel unfinished. The problem is, when a man ignores her, it triggers that need for resolution. The chase becomes less about him and more about calming that inner confusion. The confidence factor. Let's talk about confidence, because this is a huge part of the puzzle. When a man doesn't chase, doesn't beg for attention, and doesn't seem easily impressed, it signals strength. It tells the subconscious that he has options, that he values himself, that he's secure. Confidence, real confidence, is deeply attractive because it communicates stability. It's not about arrogance or playing games. It's that quiet, calm energy that says, "I know who I am." And sometimes when a man ignores a woman or doesn't immediately respond, it can be mistaken for confidence. Even if it's actually indifference or emotional unavailability, at first glance, it can look like self-control. The tricky part is, our brains can confuse distance for strength. We might think, he's not chasing me, so he must be high value. But sometimes that's not confidence, it's detachment. Still, that early perception can make a huge difference. Women often associate attention with interest, but the absence of attention can sometimes feel like a challenge, and that challenge can make someone stand out even more. The role of self-worth. Here's where things get real. Often, the attraction to someone who ignores us has more to do with us than with them. When someone doesn't give us attention, it can stir up feelings of not being enough. That discomfort can awaken an old need to prove our worth. It's not about the man anymore. It's about validation. We start thinking, if I can get his attention, that means I'm desirable.
It becomes a subconscious mission to earn approval. That's why people often say, we chase what rejects us, because deep down we want to turn rejection into acceptance. It's an emotional loop that feeds off insecurity. But when a woman knows her value, truly knows it, she doesn't chase people who make her feel small. She values effort, consistency, and emotional connection. And that's the key difference. The chase for someone who ignores us often starts where self-worth feels shaky. The stronger that foundation is, the less likely we are to run after people who don't see our value right away. The media and social influence. We also can't ignore how society plays a part in this. Movies, shows, and social media often romanticize the idea of the hard-to-get man. Think about it. How many stories have we seen where the cold, distant guy ends up being the one everyone wants? From classic films to modern dramas, we're taught that the cold man just needs the right woman to melt his heart. That storyline is appealing because it gives hope. It whispers the idea that love can change someone. But in reality, ignoring someone isn't romantic. It's often a sign of emotional avoidance or lack of interest. Yet, because we've been shown that persistence leads to happy endings, many women interpret being ignored as a test rather than a message. The media reinforces this chase, making it look exciting, even noble. But when that fantasy meets real life, it often leads to frustration and confusion. Because in reality, healthy attraction feels calm, not chaotic. It grows through attention, not absence. The mind-body connection. Here's something fascinating. When someone we like ignores us, our stress levels actually rise. The body releases cortisol, the stress hormone, and that can make the person seem even more significant. It's the same chemical response that happens in moments of danger or high emotion. Our brains confuse emotional tension with romantic intensity. So the more anxiety someone feels around being ignored, the stronger the emotional connection can seem. It's like the body tricks the mind into believing the person is special simply because they make us feel so much. This is why relationships that start with emotional ups and downs often feel addictive. The emotional roller coaster becomes mistaken for passion. Understanding this helps break the illusion, because once we see that the intensity comes from uncertainty, not genuine connection, we can start choosing relationships that feel peaceful instead of painful. When ignoring works and when it doesn't. Now, there's something interesting here. Sometimes when men ignore women, it does get their attention, but only at first. That initial curiosity or challenge can make a woman more interested temporarily. But long-term, it rarely builds real attraction. People might chase what they can't have for a while, but nobody stays where they feel invisible. So while ignoring might seem like a power move or a way to appear confident, it usually backfires. Genuine attraction needs communication, respect, and mutual effort. What actually works is balance, giving space without disappearing, showing confidence without coldness, and being mysterious without being distant. The difference is in intention. One comes from self-assurance, the other comes from emotional games, and most people can sense which is which over time. The turning point. Understanding the pattern. Once we recognize the pattern, everything starts to change. Understanding why we chase someone who ignores us gives us control back. It's like turning on the light in a dark room. Suddenly we see that what we were chasing wasn't love, it was clarity. We wanted to feel seen, chosen, and validated. When we understand that, we can shift the focus inward. Instead of wondering why he isn't paying attention, we start asking, why do I feel I need his attention to feel valuable? And that question is powerful, because it opens the door to healing old wounds and rewriting our definition of love. Love isn't supposed to feel like a chase. It's supposed to feel like connection, mutual, calm, and secure. The real power comes when we stop trying to win over people who ignore us and start giving that energy back to ourselves. Ending, bringing it all together. So why do women chase men who ignore them? Because mystery feels magnetic. Because psychology tricks us into mistaking distance for value. Because we've been taught that love must be earned. And because deep down, we're all just looking for connection, even in the wrong places. But here's the truth. The moment we stop chasing people who make us feel invisible, we open the space for people who see us. People who communicate, care, and show up. That's not weakness, that's strength. So maybe next time someone's ignoring us, instead of asking, "Why isn't he chasing me?" we can ask, "Why am I chasing him?" Because the real glow-up isn't about making someone notice us, it's about realizing we were worthy of attention all along.